was just having a look on the internet to just catch up with stuff, and an article popped up that, well, pissed me off, obviously. Well, it would do. It's about no-go zones in the UK. Now, we hear all about them in places like Sweden and parts of France and stuff like that, but it's very hushed up over here. But it seems like a very real thing, looking at this. I'll read to you now, and you know my reading's absolutely brilliant. Sarcasm. So, here we go. A British police officer has broken ranks to confess that there is an entire communities where police ask permission to enter. The Lancashire cop says, there are areas we have to ask Muslim leaders permission to patrol. There are Muslim areas of Preston that, if we wish to patrol, we have to contact local Muslim community leaders to get their permission. This sort of goes over itself a bit. I'll carry on. Another officer from Yorkshire in the north of England, that's if you're not from the UK, wrote on an online police web forum, I'm not allowed to travel in half blues, in comments, uniform, to work in my own car as we're all at risk of attack. Yet as soon as somebody points out the obvious, it's said to be diversive. Well, of course it is. Our political leaders are at best ill-informed or simply being disingenuous. I'd go with disingenuous on this one, just a hunch. The cop goes on to quote, we implement half measures such as no one is allowed to come into work half blues, even in your own car, because if you get beheaded, it'll be your own fault. But in the UK, we accept it. What? It's just madness. A female police officer added, even if one of us did get killed or dragged off in a van, it would just be reported as a one-off incident and no reason to change the British style of policing. You believe this? What a bollocks is that? Jesus Christ. I mean, these people are in the same amount of trouble as the army were moving around Northern Ireland by the sounds of it back in the Troubles, which I'm going to come back to in a second. A Met officer who resigned just this year wrote, I was a PC in the Met for 11 years and resigned as I couldn't handle it anymore. And I don't blame him. When you've got no backup at all and your hands are tied up behind your back and yet you're sent out to go and face people who potentially want to kill you, not very encouraging, is it? Especially not with the amount of money they don't get paid. A directive from Scotland Yard concedes that police officers have come out to find police cars having their brake lines cut and sometimes their own personal cars damaged. Still, not very appealing to be a police officer. Next thing, what, they'll be checking underneath for bombs? For fuck's sake. The political elite needs to let the police get on with their job instead of peddling the idea of political correctness, forcing it so far down everyone's necks. The British people want to feel safe again. I remember when my mother used to tell me about the time she could leave her front door open. Not in this new multicultural Britain. So the police have had it guts for, and who can blame them? I don't. It seems to me that these areas, they should be policed all the time. No permission asked. And if there's a problem, send the fucking army in to do it with rubber bullets. And the first prick that tries to throw something at one of those, because we'll just use the Land Rovers again. I do believe, and I might be wrong here, but generally the people that feed me this information haven't been wrong up until now, that the UK ordered up, from Europe I think it was, 3,000 armoured personnel carriers for the police. Which made me wonder what was coming up. But there again, we also have that time of year coming up again where a lot goes on. You know what I mean. But I think in these areas where the police aren't going in, send the army in. Send them in there in their droves, in armoured cars or whatever it takes, and let them be there the whole time. Fuck you, this is our country, and if you come out and play up, you're going to get a rubber bullet. Have one of those. See how you like those apples. This is Britain. This is not some, although you might think it was, some third world shithole with some barbaric ideology running the place. Not a fucking chance. This is Britain. We don't want that shit here. This was quite a nice, happy little country before this multicultural bullshit was forced upon us. And the British people have had enough. You've only got to look at the comments in any one of my videos. Anybody who's not been absolutely brainwashed by political correctness or common purpose can see what's going on. I can see civil unrest. I've said it before, I'll say it again, and the more of these videos I do with the more comments that I get and the more that I listen to everybody, the more I realise we are heading for one hell of a shitfest. Now, if it takes putting the army on the streets, I don't want them there, but if it's what's needed to police these places where they're lawless and where they want Sharia law, because Sharia law is not the law of the UK. End of. So fuck it. It's not cutting the mustard with us, and we're not going to adopt it. So, the army needs to go in, like it did in Northern Ireland, to police the streets. And, as I say, if people come out and decide they want to do harm to the army, then the army should be allowed to shoot the fuckers dead. Simple. Hard line? Maybe. But if you followed the laws of this land, you wouldn't put yourself at risk, would you? But you don't want to follow the laws of this land, do you? Because you're special, and you're due special privileges. Well, fuck you. Massive fuck you. When you're in this country, I don't care who you are, what colour you are, what gender you are, whatever, you follow the laws of this land because everybody else has to. Why not you? Let me know what you think in the comments. It's a small rant again, but when you see this sort of stuff where the police can't even go anywhere and they've got to worry about their own vehicles, it's getting more like Sweden every day. I mean, over in Sweden now, they launched little rockets at the police stations, so the police stations have to move out of the centres, out into the country somewhere. This can't be allowed to happen here, although it will if they let it. So, like, share, subscribe. Put as many comments as you can down. I do like to see what you got to say, and if they're directed at me, just press Simon first, or type Simon first. It gets my attention quicker because there's a lot of comments, obviously. Not forgetting the live stream we did yesterday. That was with Red Pill, Phil, Brick Girl, and Tony.